At 18, I took a trip abroad and ended up in a plane crash. Miraculously, I survived. A wealthy foreign couple adopted me, raising and training me to be their sole heir. However, the accident wiped out 10 years of my memory. 3 days ago, those memories finally came rushing back. I remembered who I truly was. As it turns out, I am the eldest son of the prestigious Sterling family in the capital. My family is still out there, and I had to return home. 10 full years. 10 years is a long time. Everything must have changed. My dear sisters, are you all doing okay? Upon arriving in the city, I noticed a newly opened club by the street. I frowned, intending to walk away when a loud argument at the errands caught my attention. A man in a messy, really expensive suit was glaring arrogantly at a young woman in a thin, flimsy dress. His voice dripped with impatience. Know your place. You're just a stand-in. Do I need to remind you again? The girl's eyes were red. Her face was pale, innocent, heartbreakingly fragile. Trenthorn, I told you I'm not feeling well today. I won't go to the hospital to be your personal blood bag. Trent scoffed, pinching her chin in a mocking grip. Not feeling well yet. You're here at this sketchy club selling drinks. Sterling, are you selling drinks or selling your dignity? The girl bit her lip hard, raised her hand, and delivered a crisp, resounding slap right across his face. Smack. That's enough, Trent, you absolute jerk. Whatever I owed you, I paid it back a long time ago. We're done. Get out of my life. Done. Trent roared, his ego clearly bruised. Chloe, what makes you think you have the right to say those words to me? If I hadn't agreed to the engagement 3 years ago, do you think your pathetic family would still be standing? Break it off. You better go ask your father if he agrees. He violently grabbed her wrist, trying to drag her toward his car. The girl closed her eyes in despair, seemingly resigning to her fate. Right at that moment, her voice cut through the air colder than liquid nitrogen. Let her go. Trent froze. He looked up, meeting my eyes that screamed. I can buy your entire bloodline. He frowned. Who the hell are you? This is our business. Scram, but Chloe, the moment she heard my voice etched into her very bones. She stood there as if struck by lightning. She slowly raised her head, looking at me with absolute disbelief. Her trembling hands reached out as she whispered a title she had buried deep in her heart. Big Brother. I smiled, looking at the little sister standing before me. Chloe, it's me. Chloe yanked her hand away from Trent and threw herself into my arms, sobbing uncontrollably. In all these years, she had never cried with such profound grievance and vulnerability. I gently patted her back, voice softening. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Your brother is home. Chloe looked up, her red, tear-filled eyes searching my face. Is it really you? I'm not dreaming, am I? It's really you. Trent stood there looking like a confused pigeon. Brother, where did this guy pop out from? Aren't you the oldest in the Sterling family? What kind of trick are you playing now? Hurry up and come with me. Before he could finish his sentence, another smack echoed through the air. I gave his cheek a high-speed high five, putting my back into it. The filthy words he had just spewed. Stand in, blood bag. I heard them all loud and clear. What kind of melodramatic, trashy CEO script was this? I stepped forward, staring him down. You dare bully my sister right in front of me. Do you want a one-way ticket to the ICU? You hit me? Trent yelled, completely stunned. Half of his face was numb, burning with pain and humiliation. Looking at me, he felt a chilling aura that made his knees weak. I wrapped my arm around my sister's shoulder, hugging her. I'm her brother. You try bullying her again, and we'll see if you prefer a wheelchair or a feeding tube. Chloe sniffled. The overwhelming sense of security wrapped around her. To her, I was a beam of light, chasing away the darkness and fear she had harbored for years. I raised my foot and delivered a solid Sparta kick to Trent's chest, sending him sprawling to the ground like a deflated balloon. He scrambled up and ran away, muttering the classic cartoon villain line, Yo, wait. I took Chloe to a nearby diner and ordered 2 bowls of beef noodles. Chloe, don't be afraid. Tell me everything that happened, I said softly. Chloe gradually calmed down, wiping her tears. Where have you been all these years? They said you disappeared. Guilt washed over me. I thought I was a goner that day. Luckily, as I was served and adopted by good people, but I lost my memory for 10 years. I only remembered everything 3 days ago, and I immediately came back to find you all. Hearing this, like any lingering resentment Chloe might have had vanished completely. She stared at me, terrified I would disappear again. It's our fault. We were useless. We couldn't find you. Nonsense, I interrupted. Now tell me, what is the deal with that Trent guy? He is my ex-boyfriend, but it's over now. She hesitated. Brother, will you come home with me tonight? She didn't want to talk about her past grievances, and I didn't push it. Even if she didn't say a word, I would investigate everything thoroughly. Whoever dared to bully my family would soon find themselves wishing they were never born. Standing in front of a run-down apartment building, I stopped and looked at Chloe in surprise. You live here? The Sterling family mansion is at number 1 South Lake. Why are you renting a place out here? Chloe avoided my gaze, struggling to explain. How could she tell me that 7 years ago she was kicked out of the house? It's fine here. Really? Come on up. I followed her upstairs. Just as she was about to unlock her door, a chubby, greasy-looking landlord waddled over, yelling, "You're late on rent again. You owe me a total of $2,200 including utilities for the past 6 months. Pay up. And now you're bringing a guy home." Chloe looked at the man in panic, trying to stop him from talking. The guy just got more arrogant. I've been giving you face because you're a girl, but you don't know what's good for you. You look pretty enough, yet you can't even cough up $2,200. Have you no shame? I noticed the creep's eyes, scanning my sister in a way that made my blood boil. Before he could spew any more garbage, I pulled a stack of cash from my pocket and threw it directly at his face. Here is $2,000. If you don't want to meet your maker tonight, take it and get out of my sight. The landlord stared at the rain of cash, completely dumbfounded. Before he could ask any questions, I pulled Chloe inside and slammed the door. Chloe kept her head down, too ashamed to face the brother she had always admired. I didn't ask questions. I set my luggage down, opened the window and turned on the lights. The apartment was old, the paint was peeling, but it was arranged very warmly. She had clearly lived here for a long time. I opened my suitcase. So, who showers first? You or me? Chloe, who was panicking, trying to figure out how to explain her poverty, completely froze. She thought I would ask why she was living here, or how a Sterling A's couldn't afford $2,200 in rent, but my casual question caught her completely off guard. She grabbed my pajamas and walked closer. Chloe bit her lip and squeezed her eyes shut, terrified that I was going to hit her. She blamed herself for being useless. After I left, she couldn't protect anything. She couldn't even return to her own home. Everything their mother left behind was taken by that woman. Their father had changed. She couldn't even save her favorite transforming diamond toy. Her other sisters had drifted away, but the pain she expected never came. Instead, a warm, gentle hand ruffled her hair. Chloe opened her eyes in a daze, meeting my smiling face. All right, I'll go wash up first. I walked into the bathroom, leaving Chloe standing there, a messy mix of confusion and overwhelming happiness. She sniffled and quickly tidied up the room. A while later, came out drying my hair, only to see my adorable sister staring at me blankly. I couldn't help but reach out and pinch her cheek. Go shower, silly. Chloe jumped, her face turning beet red. She wanted to find a hole to hide in. When she came out, I was already sitting on the bed, my gaze deep and distant as I looked out the window. Seeing her, I waved. Come here, I'll dry your hair. Her instinct was to refuse. She didn't want to burden me. I had just returned and must be tired. But my voice was too gentle to resist. She obediently walked over and sat down. As the warm air from the hairdryer ran through her hair, she comfortably closed her eyes, but snapped them open a second. Later, terrified. This was just a dream. Brother? She asked cautiously. Are you going to leave again? My hands paused for a fraction of a second before I answered softly. No, never again. From now on, wherever I go, I'm taking you all with me. Overjoyed, tears streamed down Chloe's face, soaking into my pants. I didn't say a word, just gently wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. I knew my sister had suffered immensely these past years. She wouldn't say it, and I wouldn't force her, but for the rest of her life, she would never suffer again. Not on my watch. All done. Grab the hand cream from my suitcase, I instructed. Okay. Chloe immediately jumped up, found a white tube of lotion, and handed it to me. I opened the cap and gestured for her hand. She obediently offered it. As the cool cream touched her skin, her heart felt warm. The girl's hands are her second face. You need to take good care of them, I said. Chloe hummed in agreement, her voice thick with emotion. The scent was fresh and elegant, not overwhelming, and she loved it immediately. This smells so good. Little something I formulated myself. I smiled. If you like it, keep it. Use it morning and night. Chloe blushed and shyly shook her head. No, this is yours, I laughed. Of course it's yours. What's mine is yours. Good things are meant to be cherished. Chloe nodded, immediately diving under the covers. She hugged my arm tightly, pressing close to me, just like when we were kids. I gently patted her back, coaxing her to sleep. It was the most peaceful night of sleep Chloe had had in 10 years. Safe in my presence, she muttered something in her dreams, looking like a child again. I wasn't sleepy at all. My eyes rested on her, noting the faint redness around her eyes, and a wave of emotion hit me. In the middle of the night, when she was deeply asleep, I quietly got up, to the window, and dialed a number. It's me, Ellen. Look into something for me. Also, I need you to fly here. I'm not returning to HQ just yet. Have the board handle the company for now. The next morning, Chloe groggy opened her eyes, remembering something, up in panic, looking around. No one was there. She thought she had been dreaming, that her brother had never returned, but the faint floral scent on her hands made her heart race. She scrambled out of bed and ran toward the kitchen. The sound of clinking utensils grew louder. She arrived just in time to see me walking out, wearing an apron and holding a steaming bowl. "What's wrong? It's only 6 a.m. Go back to sleep," I said. Seeing me, her wildly beating heart finally settled. I looked down at her bare feet on the cold floor and couldn't help but scold her. "How many times have I told you? Don't run around barefoot. You'll catch a cold. The chill enters through your feet. Why are you still acting like a kid? Go put your slippers on." Hearing me nag made Chloe feel incredibly warm inside. She sniffled, nodded vigorously, and ran to put her slippers on before washing her face. "Breakfast is almost ready," I called out. Back abroad, since I was from this country, my adoptive parents had hired a top-tier private chef from my homeland to ensure my stomach was well taken care of. I picked up a few recipes along the way. Seeing Chloe practically inhaling the food, I guessed it didn't taste half bad. "Slow down. Nobody is stealing it from you." Chloe took a bite of a perfectly crispy fried egg and cheered. "This is so good." I wiped her mouth with a napkin. "So, you're working now?" The light in Chloe's eyes dimmed slightly. She avoided my gaze, a hint of shame in her expression. I answered honestly, "Yes, I work at a company called Zenith Co." I patted her head. "I'll drop you off later." I didn't ask why she had to work. As the second ace of the Sterling family, even if she did nothing but breathe, Crater, she shouldn't have been able to spend all the wealth our mother left behind. I didn't ask, because I already had people investigating. By the end of the day, everything would be crystal clear. If they didn't want to tell me, fine. But that didn't mean her older brother, would be kept in the dark. If I found out who was bullying my sister, may God have mercy on their souls, because I certainly wouldn't. "You don't have to," Chloe said quickly. "You should rest. I can take the bus. It's really fast." I chuckled. "What? Are you afraid I'll embarrass you?" Chloe's eyes widened and she shook her head frantically. "No, never. I just don't want to trouble you." She lowered her head, afraid. Her current pathetic state was an embarrassment to me. "I'm your brother. What trouble?" Just then, phone rang. I walked over to take it. "All right, I understand." We headed downstairs. The chubby landlord was standing there greeting us with a sickeningly sweet smile, a complete 180 from his vicious attitude yesterday. When his disgusting eyes lingered on my sister for a second too long, I shot him a glare so cold it could freeze hell over. He flinched and quickly looked away. Oh, I'm definitely dealing with him later, I thought. Next to the run-down apartment building was a glaringly bright red Rolls-Royce. Chloe couldn't help but stare at it. She wasn't blind to cars. This was clearly a custom limited edition model worth a fortune. But what was it doing parked in this slums? The place was an understatement. "Let's go get in." "Huh?" Chloe was startled. Aside from the Rolls-Royce, there were only a few rusty public bicycles around. Was he planning to pedal her to work? Despite her confusion, she obediently followed. She walked toward the bikes. I grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the luxury car. "Get in. You'll be late." Chloe's jaw dropped. She looked at the car, then at me, swallowing hard. This is your car?" "Yeah. If you like it, I'll give it to you. By the way, do you know how to drive yet?" Chloe shook her head, still in a daze. Before she could fully process what was happening, her body automatically sat in the passenger seat. As the car rolled down the street, she finally snapped out of it, particularly vibrating with excitement. "Is this really yours? Where did you get so much money? Wait, I said that wrong. You're amazing. Making money is easy for you, but this is too rich. This must be worth millions." I smiled, my sharp profile catching the morning light. "Am I that impressive?" "Of course. My big brother is the most amazing person in the world. You're my forever idol. You are so awesome." Her words made me pause. "You just dropped me off at the intersection," she said quickly. "My company is right there. I can walk the rest of the way." I nodded and parked the car, simultaneously receiving a text from Ellen. I turned to Chloe. "What time do you get off work? I'll pick you up. Here, save my number." I handed her a sleek black card along with the digits. Chloe nodded, immediately saving my contact as Big Brother, and happily skipped off to work. At the entrance of Zenith Co., Trent Thorne, dressed in a sharp blue suit, stood dead center, impatiently checking his watch. Chloe knew he was waiting for her, but couldn't care less. She walked straight past him. Seeing her completely ignore him, Trent exploded. He thought she was taking this playing hard to get routine way too far. "Chloe," he yelled, grabbing her arm violently. "I'm giving you face, aren't I? Do you dare treat me like I don't exist? You think just because someone helped you last night, you can defy me? Chloe yanked her arm back, her expression icy. Trent, we broke up. We have nothing to do with each other. Stay away from me. Trent's face darkened. Chloe, here's your last warning. Apologize to me right now. Go to the hospital to give blood, and I'll allow you to remain my girlfriend. Chloe sneered. Was this the man she once loved? Back when they first met, she had fallen for him. He took care of her, acting like a beacon of light in her dark world, giving her the courage to keep living. But in the end, he only ever hurt her. Whenever his precious white moonlight, Tiffany complained. Regardless of who was right or wrong, it was always Chloe's fault. Trent, dreaming, starting today, I won't give Tiffany Taylor a single drop of my blood. Give up. Doesn't the Thorne family want to cancel the engagement anyway? Go ahead. I don't give a damn about being the future, Mrs. Thorne. Her brother was back. She feared no one anymore. Trent laughed coldly. Chloe throwing a tantrum has its limits. You think this little trick works on me? I have a banquet to attend tonight. Be there. He walked away completely confident. In his mind, there was no way Chloe could actually leave him. She loved him too much. It was just a woman's petty tactic to gain attention. Chloe brushed off the spot on her sleeve, where he had touched her, her eyes filled with disgust. How stupid was I to think I couldn't live without him? Back at the rented apartment. Crash! Furiously hurled a glass cup at the wall, shattering it into pieces. On the table lay several dossiers. Standing in front of me was a stunning blonde, blue-eyed woman in a sleek black suit. From now on, call me Mr. Sterling, I interrupted. Not going by that title anymore. I don't want my identity exposed just yet. Understood? Yes, Mr. Sterling, Ellen nodded, seeing my tightly clenched fists in absolute rage. She hesitated before asking, do you need me to orchestrate a hostile takeover of the Sterling Group? Currently, the company is in chaos and weakening by the day. At our fastest, it would only take half a month. I waved my hand, my eyes cold and murderous. Not yet. George Sterling, you dared to treat my sister like this. Do you have a death wish? Just wait. Tonight, I will make you wish you were dead. I took a breath to calm down. Ellen, buy this plot of land. Buy this entire apartment building and put it under Chloe's name. Right away, sir. Ellen was about to leave when I called her back. Wait. Use a handkerchief to pick up those glass shards and throw them away. Then go buy an exact replica of that cup. Though confused, Ellen obeyed. The designer handkerchief she used was worth 10 times the cheap glass cup. She knew the boss always had his reasons. Chloe received a text from me telling her to refuse any overtime. This greatly annoyed her manager, as Chloe was usually the easiest employee to exploit. Yet today, she was the first to clock out. Tired? You bought your favourite jasmine milk tea? I said, handing her a green cup with a jasmine logo. Chloe took it, feeling a mix of sorrow and extreme happiness. Since I left, she hadn't treated herself to her favourite drink. Now that I was back, she could have it again. Thank you, brother. Chloe beamed, her delicate face lighting up. I reached out and brushed her bangs aside. My little sister was too understanding. She swallowed all her grievances silently. Let's go get your hair done. It's looking a bit dry. Then we'll go to the mall and buy you some nice clothes. Chloe instinctively wanted to refuse, not wanting to spend my money. I didn't know when the proud second daughter of the Sterling family had become so insecure. Perhaps it was after being kicked out with absolutely nothing. Reading her mind, I said, I know I was absent for 10 years. You've suffered a lot, but I promise you from now on, you will never have to suffer ever again, so don't say no need to me. Do you think I'm not worthy of being your family? You don't have to acknowledge me if you don't want to. Chloe panicked, waving her hands frantically. No, that's not it at all. I never thought that. I just don't want to be a burden. I was wrong. Could I not acknowledge you? Even if I died, I would always acknowledge you as my brother. Then, if anything happens from now on, you tell me. Between family, there is no such thing as a burden. You are my only real family left. If you distance yourself from me, I won't even know why I came back. Chloe's eyes welled with tears. She nodded vigorously, letting out a choked after her hair appointment. We headed to a high-end luxury mall. I stepped out to take a phone call, leaving Chloe to try on clothes. Just then, 2 young women strutted into the boutique. Spotting Chloe, they exchanged a look of surprise before their expressions morphed into pure disdain. Kelly Lane swayed her hips as she walked over, her voice dripping with mockery. Oh my, if it isn't the second Miss Sterling. Time no see. Buying clothes, are we? Seeing Kelly Lane and Victoria Vance, Chloe's expression chilled. She ignored them and turned to walk away. Kelly covered her mouth, giggling as she looked Chloe up and down. Chloe, we're old classmates, aren't we? Even say hello. You weak of poverty, yet you dare step into a store like this. How embarrassing. Victoria chimed in. Hey Chloe, did you know Trent's precious white moonlight demanded to go abroad? Trent rushed to the airport to stop her. It made the trending searches. Did you miss the memo? Chloe didn't want to engage. She tried to step around them, but Kelly threw her arm out, blocking the path. Where are you going? Victoria asked you a question. Chloe glared at them coldly. Don't waste my breath on people I don't care about. Kelly flared up. Chloe, do you still think you're some high and mighty heiress? Everyone knows you got kicked out of your house. If you hadn't clung on to Trent like a leech, do you think you would have ever gotten engaged to him? What does that have to do with you? Chloe shot back. Victoria pulled Kelly back with a snicker. You're right, Chloe. It has nothing to do with us, but that dress in your hand, we want it. Sales associate. Wrap it up for us. The associate looked apologetic. I'm sorry, Miss Vance. Miss Lane, this dress has already been claimed by this young lady. Perhaps you'd like to look at something else. Victoria exploded. What did you say? Do you know who I am? Chloe is just a low-level desk jockey at some garbage company. Her monthly salary isn't enough to buy my socks. You think she can afford this? It's a $15,000 dress. Are you blind? Do you want to keep your job? I'll call your manager and have you fired right now. The associate looked distressed, but held her ground. She had noticed the man accompanying Chloe earlier. His aura was extraordinary, clearly not an average person, having worked in luxury retail for over a decade. He recognized that his bespoke suit was light years beyond any standard designer brand. Hearing the commotion, the store manager rushed over. Seeing Kelly and Victoria, he immediately put on a sycophantic smile. Mrs. Lane, Miss Vance, long time no see. My employee is new and doesn't know the rules. Please excuse her, it's just a dress. If you like it, we'll wrap it up immediately. What are you waiting for? He snapped at the associate. The associate nervously replied, but this lady chose it first. She said she was going to buy it. The manager turned to Chloe. You said you wanted to buy it, but you haven't paid, correct? Are you sure you're buying it? If so, pay right now. Chloe didn't flinch. Even if I haven't paid yet, I said I would take it. I haven't even finished browsing. Why are you rushing me to pay? That's not store policy. The manager couldn't care less about policy. Kelly and Victoria were wealthy socialites. The girl in front of him was wearing cheap clothes that probably cost less than $20 combined. How could she afford a $15,000 dress? She was definitely just a window shopper trying to act tough. Mrs. Sterling, this dress is not on discount. It is $15,000. Are you sure you can afford it? Your annual salary probably wouldn't cover it. Kelly sneered. Chloe couldn't be bothered. None of your business. Victoria laughed mockingly. If you want it, pay for it, Chloe. If you can't, the dress isn't yours. Do you understand basic logic? Exactly. Pay up, the manager echoed. A mocking glint flashed in Chloe's eyes. What a bunch of snobs. When my brother stepped out, he left a card with me. When Chloe pulled out the black card, Kelly and Victoria's eyes nearly popped out of their skulls. Impossible, Kelly shrieked. A black card? Where did you get a black card? That has to be fake. She glared at the card in Chloe's hand. Global limitless black cards were only issued to the ultra-wealthy or the immensely powerful. The manager's attitude pulled an instant 180. His face bloomed into a radiant, apologetic smile as he rubbed his hands together. Distinguished guest, I am so sorry for my previous offense. Please tell me whatever you need. These are all new arrivals. Take your time browsing. Victoria suddenly had a genius's realization. She pointed at the card and yelled, Chloe, if you dare steal someone else's card, I'm calling the cops. Call them. She was 100% certain it was stolen. Even the regional head of Trent's family wouldn't qualify for that card, let alone Chloe. There was only one explanation: theft. Chloe laughed coldly. Victoria, are you insane? If you're so capable, don't you try stealing one and see what happens? Victoria gritted her teeth. Chloe is just as detestable as ever. Kelly chimed in. Chloe, there is no way you own that card. If it's not stolen, it's a fake prop. Exactly, Victoria added. Manager, I'm warning you. Just a low-level clerk making less than $1,000 a month. When that card declines, don't say we didn't warn you. The manager's smile stiffened, a hint of doubt creeping in. Without a second thought, Kelly reached out and violently snatched the dress from Chloe's hand. Chloe, caught off guard, instinctively held on. I repeat, the delicate fabric tore loudly. Kelly raised an eyebrow, let go, and smiled smugly. Oops, sorry, totally an accident. But hey, since you love it so much and you have that fancy black card, you'll definitely still buy it. Chloe's hands trembled with rage. Victoria sneered. Come on, Kelly. She's got a black card. This pocket change is nothing to her. You two are crossing the line. Chloe gritted her teeth. I'm not buying this dress anymore. The manager panicked. You have to. It tore while in your hands. You must pay for it. The associate spoke up honestly. Manager, the dress was torn by that lady over there. It has nothing to do with this customer. Kelly wasn't intimidated. She pointed at the associate. You're saying I tore it? Just wanted to look at it. If she hadn't gripped it so hard, would it have torn? Trying to pin the blame on me. In your dreams, Chloe shook with anger, knowing full well these two were deliberately trying to humiliate her. Kelly Lane, you are absolutely shameless. You like Trent so much. Go chase him yourself. Even if you beg on your knees, he wouldn't look at you twice. Hearing this, Kelly's rage exploded. What did you just say? Let's see if I don't beat you to death. She raised her hand to slap Chloe. Chloe dodged, causing Kelly to lose her balance and crash hard onto the boutique floor, shrieking in pain. You dared to dodge? Victoria lunged forward to help her friend, thinking, so, what if I hit Chloe? She has no backing anyway. She really thinks she can go against us? But before Victoria's hand could even graze Chloe, her wrist was caught in an iron grip. She was violently shoved backward. Victoria spun around, coming face to face with my imposing, suffocating presence. Her gaze was as sharp as a scalpel, my aura overwhelming. With just one look, she felt a terrifying pressure crush down on her. Who are you? She stammered. Before she could finish, I shoved her away. She stumbled and nearly fell over. I walked over to Chloe. Chloe, you hurt? Seeing me, Chloe suddenly felt an overwhelming wave of grievance. In 10 years, this was the first time someone had genuinely asked if she was hurt. She shook her head, offering a bright, clear smile. No, brother, I'm fine. Just ruined the dress I picked out. Kelly and Victoria stared at me in shock. I pulled out my phone and sent a quick text. Within seconds, Ellen walked into the store. Call the police, I instructed Ellen. Have these two dealt with for assault and property damage. Demand full compensation. Hearing the word police, the two girls panicked. On what grounds are you making us pay? This has nothing to do with us. Make sure you get a copy of the security footage and post it online, I added casually. Kelly and Victoria's faces drained of colour. Who the hell are you? What does this have to do with Chloe? Do you even know who we are? Before they could spew more nonsense, a group of people rushed over. The manager saw the VIPs approaching and immediately bowed. CO, Mr. Vance, you're here. The men completely ignored the manager, walking straight toward me. They bowed respectfully. Mr. Sterling, I am so incredibly sorry for the poor shopping experience you encountered today. To make up for it, the entire store is free for you today. Does that sound? Not only were Kelly and Victoria shell-shocked, but even Chloe stared at me in awe. Just who was her brother that he could make these powerful men bow so low? Mr. Vance, who is Victoria's uncle, glared at his niece and roared, Are you deaf? He apologized to Mr. Sterling immediately. Victoria, stripped of all her arrogance, bowed her head. I'm sorry, Mr. Sterling. Please forgive me. Kelly stood frozen, feeling utterly betrayed. She pointed a trembling finger at Victoria. Kelly's family was nouveau riche. She was always arrogant, but knew her family couldn't compare to the Vances, so she had no choice but to follow the wind. She bowed her head too. I'm sorry, I was wrong, but I had no intention of playing nice. I'll let the police handle this. These two assaulted someone and destroyed property without cause. I was going to handle it privately, but they don't seem to know what's good for them. Victoria and her uncle immediately understood the implication. Vance walked over and slapped Victoria across the face. You idiot! Apologize to the young lady right now. Victoria, thoroughly humbled by the slap, had zero pride left, but apologizing to Chloe felt like swallowing glass. She gritted her teeth knowing she couldn't afford to get arrested. Sorry, Chloe. We shouldn't have targeted you. We'll pay for the ruined dress. We're sorry. Victoria quickly added, Chloe, for the sake of our old school days, please forgive us this once. I promise it won't happen again. I looked at Chloe, letting her decide. Seeing them bow an apology, Chloe was amazed. My brother is so powerful, just a few words and they're begging. Not wanting me to make enemies because of her, she softly said, Let it go. Let them leave. I was slightly dissatisfied. I didn't want to let them off the hook so easily. If I hadn't arrived in time, that slap would have landed on my sister's face. A cold, imperceptible glint flashed in my eyes. Settling privately doesn't just mean a verbal apology. Compensating for the dress is your basic responsibility, but my sister was severely startled. You need to pay for her emotional distress. I didn't lack money, nor did I care about their spare change, but letting them off easily just wasn't my style. Since Chloe said she didn't want to dwell on it, I didn't push further. In the end, they each had to transfer $50,000 as an apology fee before they were allowed to scurry away. They definitely didn't want to end up as a viral hashtag. I sat on the VIP sofa, legs crossed, casually scrolling through my phone, while Chloe tried on outfit after outfit. Finally, I waved my hand. Wrap all of these up and send them to this address. Chloe frantically waved her hands. No, it's too much. I can't possibly wear all of these. I cut her off. I have money. Buying things for you is what money is for. For the first time in her life, Chloe had just spent tens of thousands of dollars in a few hours. Her heart was still racing. Just then, her phone buzzed with a text. You ungrateful brat. Tonight is Auntie Linda's birthday. You better come home. If you don't, I will burn everything in your room to ashes. She gripped her phone tightly, a wave of grievance and frustration bubbling up. Over the years, she had gotten used to swallowing her pride. As long as she kept her head down, there was peace. She didn't want to drag anyone else down. Standing beside her, I read every single word on the screen. In my memory, my father was a weak, spineless man. My mother was the powerhouse of the family. 90% of the Sterling family's wealth was built by her. To put it bluntly, George Sterling only married my mother because he had a pretty androgynous face. He was a textbook gold digger. I didn't expect that 10 years later, the little lapdog would try to play the role of a Tibetan mastiff. I patted her shoulder reassuringly. Tonight we go home together. Let's head back to the Sterling house and see how I discipline this dog. Dad has another woman now. Ever since Aunt Linda moved in, everything changed. From her hesitant voice, I could feel her deep-rooted insecurity and pain. It's okay, I said, my heart aching. I'll handle everything. Chloe looked at my determined profile. I resembled our mother the most, a perfect blend of her strength and my father's looks, but with an overwhelmingly dominant aura. Her lonely heart finally felt like it had found a safe harbour. At the Sterling mansion, George Sterling slammed his hand on the table, just yelling at the sharp-chinned woman in front of him. That wretched girl, Chloe, her wings have hardened. Look at the mess she's making, daring to talk about cancelling the engagement. I'm furious. Wait until she gets home. I'm going to teach her a harsh lesson. Elaine smiled gently, stepping forward to rub George's back. Her voice was sickeningly sweet. Oh, honey, why be so angry with the child? You know I'm only their stepmother. As the saying goes, even the best stepmom can't compare to a biological one. It's natural they don't like me. Tonight is my birthday, and I just wanted the whole family to be together. And with the Thorne family coming over, we could discuss the wedding details nicely. Who knew she would tell Trent she wanted to cancel it? She grabbed her hand, sighing. Linda, only you are this good-hearted. That wretched girl doesn't know what's good for her. You always think of them, yet they only ever resent you. Don't worry, she will be here tonight to celebrate your birthday. Saying that, he finally noticed Linda's outfit. The deep burgundy dress and the exquisite jewellery all belonged to his late wife. The image of that powerful woman flashed through his mind, causing him to frown. Didn't I tell you not to touch these things? Linda stiffened. Tears immediately welled up in her eyes. Hubby, I didn't mean to take her things. With Chloe coming home tonight, I just wanted her to feel a little bit of her mother's presence. I really didn't mean any harm. Hearing this, George's anger evaporated. He softened his tone, coaxing her. All right, it's my fault. I'm sorry, sir. Madam, young Master Trent has arrived, a maid announced. Trent was originally supposed to attend a friend's party. He had waited for Chloe forever, and enraged by her talk of breaking the engagement, he came straight to George to complain. Hearing it was Linda's birthday, and guessing Chloe would be forced to attend, he ditched his party. If Chloe didn't bow her head and apologise tonight, there would be no talk of cancelling anything. Trent, what brings you here? Only your parents were coming, George said. Uncle George, I'm here to see Chloe. Is she not home yet? Before George could answer, Linda laughed cheerfully. She's on her way. Uncle George just told her to be careful on the road. Honestly, such a nice home here, yet she insists on renting outside. How can the outside world compare to home? Aunt Linda is right. Trent scoffed. Chloe is completely ungrateful. Last night, she was screaming about cancelling the engagement, breaking up, cutting all ties with me. I was the bigger person and went to find her this morning, and she treated me like I was invisible. George sneered. Don't worry, wait until she gets back. I'll teach her a lesson. Thanks to my styling, Chloe arrived looking absolutely stunning, wearing an elegant white dress. Everyone in the hall was mesmerised. It was the first time Trent had seen Chloe look so gorgeous and regal. His heart involuntarily skipped a beat. Linda narrowed her eyes, thinking, who is this little? Why does she look so good? Oh my, you guys didn't recognise her. This is the second miss of the Sterling family, Chloe Sterling, young Master Trent's fiancée. So beautiful. I heard she moved out a long time ago, some guests murmured. Chloe walked straight up to George. Seeing Trent and his parents there, she didn't even spare them a glance. She only looked at George. I'm back. I will take all the belongings from my room with me. Linda smiled brightly and reached out to hold her hand. Chloe coldly dodged it, making Linda's smile freeze. Chloe, I know you don't like me, but you and your dad are family. Why so cold? What do you mean take your belongings? This is your home. You can come back whenever you want. Chloe laughed mockingly. Come back whenever I want. 7 years ago, you people kicked me out. You never once thought about letting me come back. This house belonged to my mother, and now it's been hijacked by you. Before, I was helpless. But things are different now. Her brother was back. He promised to shield her from everything, even if the sky fell. Gathering all her courage, Chloe spoke loudly. What kind of family are you to me? A mistress. 7 years ago, you kicked me out, and now you're spewing pretty words. Do you have no shame? Because I feel embarrassed just looking at you. Linda didn't expect the usually submissive Chloe to suddenly grow a spine. A calculating glint flashed in her eyes. She grabbed George's arm, crying, Hubby, I know Chloe hates me. I'll just leave. Won't bother you all anymore. George exploded. Chloe, your wings have really hardened, haven't they? How dare you speak to Aunt Linda like that? Apologize right now, or don't blame me for getting physical. Chloe sneered. You want to hit me again? Go ahead, hit me. It was seething today. The Thorne family and a few friends were present. It wasn't a massive birthday bash, just a select few guests. Mrs. Thorne, Trent's mother, had never respected the Sterling family to begin with. Holding a glass of wine, she shot Chloe a disdainful look. It's my first time seeing a girl with such terrible manners. Arguing with your father the moment you walk in. Chloe Sterling, our Thorne family does not need someone like you. George panicked. The family couldn't afford to lose this marriage alliance. He quickly forced a smile. She's just being immature. I'll discipline her later. She won't do it again. Trent, you've been engaged to my daughter for 3 years. When is the wedding? Before Trent could speak, Mrs. Thorne interjected. Your family isn't worthy of ours to begin with. You know your own financial situation. If my son hadn't taken pity on Chloe, she never would have gotten this engagement. I'll say this now. If she wants to be a daughter-in-law of the Thorne family, she needs to be proficient in the arts, handle all household chores flawlessly, and serve her parents-in-law perfectly. And in a prominent family like ours, marriage doesn't mean monogamy. If my son fancies another woman outside, your daughter is not allowed to interfere. George nodded frantically like a bobblehead. Of course, that's how it should be. Trent stood to the side, looking at Chloe with a smug, arrogant, and condescending expressions, as if saying, See, your family has to beg mine. I am the only one who can dump you. Thorne continued, Also, once married, Chloe is not allowed to work. She represents the face of the Thorne family. Running around outside every day is disgraceful. After the wedding, she must quickly bear a son for the Thorne family. If she has a girl, she's useless. She must fulfill all her duties, serving my son wholeheartedly. From his meals to his baths, everything must be meticulous. That is the bare minimum. George kept nodding. Naturally, a woman should center her life around her husband. Trent looked at Chloe like a king bestowing a favor. I don't ask for much, just one thing. If Chloe wants to be my wife, she must accept Tiffany's existence. Tiffany is my savior. Every month, she needs your blood. You must accompany me to the hospital to donate. Linda smiled radiantly. Trent is truly a man who values gratitude. Chloe is blessed with 3 lifetimes of good fortune to marry someone like you. If it weren't for Trent, liking her, I wouldn't even want her to marry into the Thorne family to enjoy such wealth and status. Chimed in. Trent is absolutely right. Tiffany is his savior, which makes her your savior too. Drawing a little blood every month won't kill you. Why make such a big fuss? Chloe's heart felt like it had been shoved into an endless abyss, void of any light. She was used to the sharp knives hurled by her own family. But when those knives pierced her heart again, the pain was still unbearable. She was bleeding out. Since her brother left 10 years ago, everything had changed. The man before her was no longer the gentle father from her memories. Someone was demanding to drain his daughter's blood, and all he could say was, "It won't kill you." They wanted her to be a workhorse, a slave, making outrageous demands that treated her like an object, a human being. And yet, her father just smiled and agreed. How pathetic, how incredibly sad. But from today onward, she would no longer hope for her father to change, because the most important person in her life had returned. No one could ever replace her brother in her heart. Even if her mother came back to life, she couldn't. She and her sisters were practically raised by their older brother. He was her everything. Well then, it seems I truly don't have the fortune to enjoy this. Chloe's voice cut through the room. Trent, I made it clear last night. I want to cancel the engagement. I will not marry you. And Mrs. Thorne, take your ridiculous rules and go preach them to a dog. Who the hell wants to marry into the Thorne family? What does Trent's savior have to do with me? Why should I give her my blood? Who gave you the right to demand that of me? If you're so capable, Donate your own blood. Chloe unleashed everything she had been bottling up. Tren's parents were livid. They were respected figures in high society, and now they were being publicly humiliated by a junior. The Sterling family daughter truly lacks any upbringing. Trent's face was storm clouds. Chloe, who gave you the guts to speak to us like that? Told you, you're playing hard to get trick, won't work on me. If you keep throwing this tantrum, the engagement is off today. Mrs. Thorne gritted her teeth. Chloe Sterling, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Son only agreed to marry you out of pity. What makes you think you're worthy of the Thorne family? You don't even know how to be grateful. George raised his hand, fully intending to strike Chloe, but his hand was intercepted by a vice-like grip. Lightning-fast kick swept out. Bam! George flew backward like a kite with a snapped string, crashing violently into a table. The expensive ceramics and glassware shattered instantly, the piercing noise ripping through the air. Following that was the resounding smack of a slap. A bright red handprint instantly bloomed on Trent's face. A tall figure now shielded Chloe. I stood there in my black suit, my cold gaze sweeping over the crowd. My voice was like a poison-laced blade and straight into their hearts. Where did these stray dogs come from barking in front of me? My sharp eyes locked onto Trent, my tone dripping with pure sarcasm. You dare threaten my sister. The Thorne family, third-rate clan at best, thinks they can show off in front of me. George staggered to his feet. Before the pain even registered, he was about to start screaming, but when he saw me standing next to Chloe, he froze as if all his strength had been drained. Thud. To his knees, his lips trembled and he muttered a name in absolute disbelief. Bianca White. Then he shook his head violently. That woman was dead, but the man standing before him was young, leading George to a terrifying, impossible conclusion. His eyes went wide. She pointed at me, her voice shaking. You're Henry. My face looked exactly like the woman from years ago, the woman who made Linda feel perpetually inferior, too afraid to even lift her head, yet my aura was even colder. I had perfectly inherited the traits of both George and Bianca. With just one look, a chill ran down Linda's spine. George finally snapped back to reality. Gar! Henry, it's really you. You didn't die. Gar! A mix of astonishment and sheer terror washed over his face. 10 years ago, this teenage boy had already displayed terrifying talent, deep cunning, and ruthless methods. He had inherited Bianca's frightening coldness, even surpassing her. In front of me, George had never once held the upper hand. My gaze pierced into him like an awl. Were you hoping I was dead, father? George shook his head frantically. No, of course not, Henry. Dad just didn't expect you to return safely. I'm just so happy. His voice trembled, clearly laced with flattery. A surge of unease rose in Linda. She forced a stiff smile, trying to sound gentle. So, you're Henry. I'm your stepmother. Why would you lay a hand on your own father? She tried to justify herself and George, while simultaneously smearing my name, but I cut her off with a voice like glacial ice. Who the hell are you? I'm disciplining my own family. When did it become the place of a stray dog eating our leftovers to interrupt, thinking she's the master of the house? Linda's face went from red to purple. She was humiliated beyond belief. Seeing her precious son get hit, Mrs. Thorne went ballistic. Where did this little bastard come from? You dare hit my son? Do you have a death wish? I didn't even bother looking at her. My eyes remained fixed on Trent, my voice dropping a few degrees. I hit him. So what? Sparing you because you're an old bat. Otherwise, I wouldn't waste my breath. Mrs. Thorne trembled, completely speechless. I formally addressed Trent. You're Trent, right? Did you not understand what my sister said last night? Or are you just deaf? She said. Break up. Cancel the engagement. Yet you still dare to harass her. Are you tired of living? Exposed and humiliated in front of a crowd, having just been slapped, Trent couldn't swallow this anger. His face shifted between red and white. He turned to Chloe, furious. Cancel it then. Chloe, do you really think I can't live without you? Scram. Linda panicked quickly, grabbing Trent while trying to pull up George, who was trying to sneak away. Hubby, talk some sense into Chloe. How can she just cancel it like that? She glared resentfully at Chloe. Cancel it, then let's see who will ever marry her now. Trent's parents left in a huff, leaving Trent behind, but his eyes were glued to Chloe. Seeing her looking so stunning and coldly aloof tonight, he felt a strange new sensation. This wasn't the timid Chloe who always tried to please him. Deep down, he still delusionally believed this was her playing hard to get. After 3 years, how could she just let go? She must still love him deeply. He suppressed his anger and put on a smile he thought was gentle. Chloe, I won't hold today against you. I know you feel wronged because of Tiffany, but she is my saviour. I can't just abandon her. As for cancelling the engagement, I know you only said it out of anger. Give you time to think it over. Hearing Trent's hypocritical words, Chloe felt nothing but a freezing, absurd emptiness. Looking at his fake face, she only found it hilarious. How had it taken her this long to see his true colours? She calmly dodged Trent's reaching hand, taking a step back. Her voice was flat, but resolute. "Trent, stop lying to yourself. You've always seen me as a stand-in out of respect for the fact that you helped me once. I won't hold the past against you. But from now on, we have absolutely no relationship. Whether she is your saviour or not has nothing to do with me. Cancelling the engagement is what I truly want. Believe it or not, I'm not playing games." Trent felt as if he had been struck, as if something was slipping through his fingers and he couldn't catch it. A rare flash of panic crossed his eyes, but his stubborn ego made him think he was still in control. He reached out again, but Chloe dodged, her eyes cold. "It's impossible, Trent. Hear me clearly. I, Chloe Sterling, do not want you anymore. Who do you think you are? You're not worth me trying to please you." Her words ripped through Trent's facade, humiliated in front of everyone. His face flushed crimson. He clenched his fists and roared, "Fine. Get your way. From now on, the Thorne family and the Sterling family are done." But George, terrified out of his wits by my glare, didn't dare say a word. He felt that if he even breathed wrong, I would kick him into the next time zone. No matter how much Linda tugged at him, he remained as still as a statue. Suddenly, George seemed to remember he was supposed to have a spine. He puffed out his chest, reminding himself that he was the father. Me hitting him was a supreme act of unfilled rebellion. I dared to criticize him. He sternly yelled at Chloe, "Chloe, stop making a scene. You and Trent have been together for 3 years. If you break up, who is going to want you?" Chloe bit her lip, the familiar pain washing over her. They always told her that being engaged to Trent was her ultimate blessing, that she had to be grateful and never act out, but they never cared about the wounds Trent inflicted on her. I laughed coldly, my voice dripping with dominance. "Who says nobody wants my sister? Good men are everywhere. Is Trent the only man left alive on Earth?" George choked on his words, shutting his mouth in frustration. Linda quickly plastered on a peacemaker's smile. "Henry, you can't say that. There's a saying, it's better to destroy 10 temples than ruin 1 marriage. We're all just looking out for Chloe's best interests, right?" George echoed. Right. Trent smirked, looking at Chloe condescendingly, speaking as if bestowing a grand pardon. "We'll call it even for today. As long as you behave from now on, I am still willing to marry you." Chloe hugged my arm tightly, burying her face against my shoulder. I looked at Trent with utter disgust and pure contempt. Is the Thorne family so broke they can't afford a mirror? Do you see your own reflection? You don't even know what kind of trash you are, yet you dare stand there acting all high and mighty, willing to marry my sister. Take a good look at yourself and ask if you're even worthy. Repeatedly humiliated and even physically slapped, Trent couldn't swallow his rage. He roared, "So what if you're her brother? I'm not afraid of you." I didn't even bother looking at him. I simply issued a cold command. "Security, escort the guest out." Guards who had been waiting at the door immediately marched in and dragged Trent away. "Let me go. Do you know who I am?" Trent struggled, cursing. "You have a lot of nerve treating me like this." His shouting faded as he was hauled outside. The main hall finally quieted down. George watched Trent disappear, then couldn't help but blame me. "Henry, look what you've done. You don't want the Sterling family to succeed, do you? You just ruined our business alliance with the Thorne family. You unfil son, smashing things the moment you get back. What's your problem?" Egg on by Linda, he seemed to find his patriot persona again. He was the one in charge of the Sterling family. I was just a kid who had just returned, daring to defy him. This was mutiny. I glanced at Linda indifferently. A flash of guilt crossed her eyes before she looked at George. My voice was icy, laced with subtle mockery. 10 years apart, and your voice has gotten louder. "Father, that's an improvement, but have you forgotten? I am the sole legal heir to the Sterling Group. For the past 10 years, you've ridden the coattails so long you've forgotten your own place." George was struck dumb. It was true. The sole heir to the Sterling Group was me. Even Chloe and my other sisters had 0 shares. George himself only owned a pathetic 1%. Linda gripped her hands tightly and interjected. "I know you're the heir, Henry, but you have to think about your father. You weren't here for 10 years. He worked himself to the bone managing the company, keeping the Sterling Group stable. You come back and immediately try to snatch the company from him. Is that any way for a son to behave?" I glared at her, my eyes like daggers. "What's your name again?" Linda was taken aback. Despite being confused, she tried to introduce herself. "My last name is Lane." Before she could finish, I cut her off coldly. "Our last name is Sterling." Linda froze. Hearing the muffled snickers from the surrounding staff, she finally realised what happened. She clenched her fists, cursing inwardly. "Henry, you bastard!" Daring to publicly humiliate me, George tried to defend her, but my next sentence sent chills down his spine. I remember saying that no one is allowed to touch my mother's belongings. Linda trembled, her face draining of colour. After Bianca passed away, it had set a strict rule. The master bedroom, her clothes, her jewellery, no one was to touch them. But right now, my mother's favourite necklace and dress were on Linda's body. Rage and sorrow flared in my eyes as memories of my mother flooded my mind. Guilty avoided my gaze. Feeling the crushing pressure radiating from me, Linda pulled on George's sleeve, her voice quivering as she played the victim. "Gad hubby, I didn't mean to. Gad, I really didn't. I just wanted Chloe to see me as a mother figure. Since I moved in, the kids have never been close to me. They always opposed me. I can take it. But you're their real father. I just didn't want them to be unfair to you." Hearing this, George's heart melted into a puddle. He thought Linda was the only one truly devoted to him. He put an arm around her and looked up at me. "Henry, Linda didn't mean it. Your mother has been gone for years. Keeping those clothes is a waste. If Linda likes them, she can wear them. We're a family, right? Who is family with you people?" Chloe screamed, her childlike voice cracking with despair. "My mother is gone. What right does she have to wear my mother's clothes? This is my mother's house." George looked displeased and barked. "Shut your mouth, you wretched girl." He gently held Chloe, who was shaking with anger, then stepped forward and violently ripped the necklace right off Linda's neck. She shrieked in pain. An angry red mark appeared on her neck. She clutched her throat, wailing miserably. I looked at the necklace in my hand. It is my mother's favourite piece. Seeing it tainted made my heart clench, feeling as if I had failed her. Seeing the red mark on Linda's neck, George shouted at me, heartbroken, "Henry, what are you doing, you rebellious son? She is your stepmother." I took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and when I opened them, only absolute emotionless ice remained. Just as the investigation files had shown, George was no longer the father of the past. I didn't need to hold back anymore. He treated my sisters like this. Did he still have the right to speak of family? Enduring the pain, Linda pulled George's hand, trying to diffuse the situation. "It's fine. I'm fine, hubby. He just got back. Don't argue with him. I believe he has his reasons." "Henry, you didn't mean it, right?" She played the pitiful victim to perfection, but I replied, "I absolutely meant it. Stop acting in front of me. You make me sick." My eyes locked onto the dress she was wearing. "The dress on your body. Do you need me to have someone strip it off you piece by piece right here, or will you take it off yourself?" Linda didn't expect me to give zero face. She pulled George, tears streaming down her face. "I mocked George out of respect for your face. I'm giving her a chance. Take off my mother's clothes immediately. She doesn't deserve to wear them." I turned to Linda, my gaze piercing. "Do you not have parents? Did they not teach you to keep your hands off things that don't belong to you? Who gave you permission? Did my mother email you from heaven last night, saying you could wear her dress to your birthday party?" Those words sent a chill through both George and Linda. The staff whispered among themselves, many siding with me. The young master is right. Those are his mother's belongings. You can't just touch them. It's basic respect for the dead. Exactly. Mr. Sterling is in the wrong here. Even if his first wife passed, her daughter is right there. Not to mention, he isn't even legally married to this woman. Linda felt like a bucket of ice water had been dumped over her head. Shame and humiliation swallowed her whole. For 10 years, she had paraded around as the elegant, respected Mrs. Sterling. Tonight, it was all destroyed by this brat who came out of nowhere. I know. Linda's voice trembled, leaning fully into her act. "I shouldn't have touched your mother's things without asking. I just wanted everyone to be happy." Her pitiful words made almost anyone want to sympathise. George, heartbroken, roared, "Enough. It's just a dress." "Is it worth causing such a scene, Henry? Because you just got back. I haven't said anything, but you need to understand that I am your father. You have no right to question me." I smirked, a cold smile playing on my lips. "So what, George? You think you can scare me? Hit you, and I can easily disown you as my father. It's not that hard." George shook with rage, his face beat red, glaring at me without being able to form a word. I ignored him, took Chloe's hand, and walked upstairs. My cold voice echoed through the hall. "The house is under my name. Whoever I don't want here doesn't stay." I turned to the security guards at the door. "Men, throw this woman's belongings and my great father out." "You dare?" George roared. "I am your father. You dare treat me like this? Lightning will strike you down." I didn't stop walking, my response dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, so you people are allowed to kick my sister out of the house, but I can't kick you out. Need a reminder? The entire Sterling family belongs to me. Now that I'm back, anyone who dares touch what's mine will." I picked up a glass from a side table and smashed it into the floor. Crash. It shattered completely, just like their fate. The crisp sound made George take 2 steps back. Linda's face went white. She'd worked so hard to claw her way into the Sterling family. She wasn't going to let herself be kicked out. "Henry, you unfilial monster. You treat us like this. Society will curse you." Linda shrieked. I paused, turning back with an unreadable smile. "You know that makes sense. Kicking you out right now might hurt my pristine reputation. Fine, you can stay." My sudden change in tune confused George and Linda. They didn't understand my angle until I led Chloe into a room and George sat back down. Linda bit her lip, willing to accept defeat. "Hubby, your eldest son is going too far. How dare he?" George patted her hand comfortingly. "It's fine. Don't worry. This kid is stubborn, but I'm his father. He wouldn't actually dare kick me out. He's just running his mouth. Relax." The house was in my name. No matter how much effort George and Linda had put in over the years, they couldn't transfer the ownership. Because, unless I was legally declared dead, the assets were mine. Even if I truly died without an heir, my sisters were next in line. They would never get a dime. They never expected me to return. Leading Chloe down the 2nd-floor hallway, I pushed open a door. Inside was a completely unfamiliar room, newly decorated with someone else's personal touch. Everything that belonged to me in my memories was gone. I clenched my fists. Linda sneered from the stairs, spitting out 2 words, "Burned it, smack." A crisp slap echoed, followed by Linda's scream. Her face whipped to the side and she crashed onto the floor. Hearing the commotion, George ran over. Seeing Linda on the ground, he yelled, "Henry, what are you doing? She is your stepmother. She is my wife. Your mother has been dead for years. Am I not allowed to marry someone else?" Seeing Chloe peek out from the room, he put on an innocent smile. "Dad, I am so wrongfully accused. I didn't do anything. I just walked over to ask a question, and who knew?" She threw herself onto the floor. She even slapped herself to frame me. Hearing this blatant twisting of facts, it was shaking with fury. She pointed at me, screaming, "You're talking nonsense, you bastard. Hubby, look at my face. He obviously hit me." Chloe stepped out, her expression dead serious. "I saw it too. She slapped herself. She's trying to frame my brother." Linda nearly passed out from pure rage, viciously cursing the 2 of us. George looked at us playing innocent, half believing, half doubting Linda's story. I coldly repeated, "Where are my things?" George hesitated, stuttering in the storage room. His eyes turned so cold that George felt a pang of guilt. He softened his tone, adding a touch of flattery. "I just thought leaving your room empty was a waste, so I let your sister stay here. We have plenty of rooms. You can pick whichever one you want." Hearing this, the memories of my mother rushed back. My mother was busy conquering the business world, so my father stayed home to cook and play with us. He once made a leaf-rest bookmark by hand because I loved autumn leaves. Now he casually told me to pick a random room. No wonder my sister was heartbroken. Everything really had changed. I smirked. "Have you forgotten, Dad? You once said I was the firstborn and you decorated this room yourself. You said for your whole life I would be its only master." Those words struck George, locking sealed memories. He used to love us dearly, but when Bianca died, society mocked him as a toy boy, a man with no honor who only lived in his wife's shadow. He changed. He didn't want to remember the past. "Enough," he snapped, agitated. "It's just a room. Is it worth all this fuss?" I smirked, hiding the tear that threatened to fall, and turned to the security guards. "Men, smash it." The guards swung sledgehammers, storming into the room, smashing walls and destroying furniture. "Henry, are you insane?" George roared. Linda rushed forward to stop them. "Stop it. Don't touch my daughter's things. Get out." Years ago, seeing this room was spacious, bright, and had good fume, she forced her own daughter into it. Chloe and the others tried to stop her, but failed. They were beaten, to kneel, locked in dark rooms, and starved. Eventually they had to yield. Now she was remembering the reputation of Henry Sterling, the #1 young master of high society. "I just want to redecorate my room," I said coldly. "There used to be some filthy trash in here, and it bothers me. Keep smashing. Anyone who gets in the way, don't worry about my face, just swing the hammer at their heads." "Henry, you unfill monster," George bellowed. Following my orders, a guard raised his hammer, terrifying Linda. Her face went pale. She stumbled backward and finally fainted. George rushed her back to their room. I pinched Chloe's chubby cheeks. "All right, let's go back to your room to sleep." After taking a shower, I noticed Chloe looking around her room, her eyes blank. She curled up in a corner, hugging her knees, looking incredibly insecure. As the wind blew the curtains, she flinched, looking around wildly. Memories of being bullied flooded back, making her tremble. Tears streamed down her face. She was terrified, knowing what they would use to scare her. This time. The pain of having chilly water poured into her eyes was something she would never forget. Drying my hair, I noticed a strange smell in the room, probably from being closed up too long. We can't sleep here tonight. Turned, expecting to see Chloe, but she was huddled in the corner. My heart clenched. I ran over. Chloe. Chloe, what's wrong? Her eyes were completely hollow, like a puppet whose strings had been cut. Can you hear me? It's me, your brother. Look at me. As if I had touched a sensitive trigger, Chloe violently pushed me away. My brother isn't dead. My brother isn't dead. Get away. Seeing her like this with my background in psychology, I knew she had suffered severe trauma. I pulled her into a tight hug. Chloe, be afraid. I'm here. No one will hurt you with me around. Chloe shook her head frantically. Don't touch me. Help, help. Don't touch me. Help, help. She bit down hard on my arm. I didn't utter a single sound, only hugged her tighter, my voice soothing. Be afraid. I'm here. No one will hurt you. Smelling the blood, Chloe snapped out of it. She looked up in panic, releasing my arm. Trembling, she grabbed my hand, sobbing hysterically. No, brother. I didn't mean to. She threw herself into my arms. He comforted her, but she started slapping herself. It's my fault. I hurt you. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I grabbed her hands, my voice warm. Chloe. It's okay. I'm back. It doesn't hurt. Don't blame yourself. Crying uncontrollably, she poured out everything. Brother, they all bullied me. Dad said he was throwing an 18th birthday party for me, but Aunt Linda's nephew wanted to humiliate me. I hit his head with a vase, and he bled. They said I was despicable, that I seduced him. Dad kicked me out with nothing. Actually, when I met Trent, it wasn't the first time. 3 years ago, when I was 18, I was walking on the street and almost got hit by his car. He threw some money at me. My arm was bleeding heavily from her bite, but I didn't even frown. Hearing her story, my eyes went red. Rest assured, I won't let any of them off. I will make them pay. A murderous intent ignited in my eyes. Chloe obediently nestled in my arms. Brother, can you make me some black chicken noodles? When we were kids, my favorite was the black chicken noodles you made. Help you knead the dough later. Okay. My voice was gentle, like a light piercing her inner darkness. Okay. Black chicken noodles were one of her few warm memories. Chloe sniffled, wiped her tears and shook her head. No, your arm is hurt. I won't eat. Can we go to the hospital? She looked at my bite mark full of guilt. All right, hospital first. I bandaged the wound temporarily and took her out. Downstairs, Linda heard the commotion. Seeing us leave, she smirked triumphantly and went back to bed. Just as she lay down, the entire mansion shook with the deafening sound of walls being smashed. Before leaving, I had ordered them to demolish all of their rooms. At the hospital, Chloe looked at my bandaged arm, her eyes still filled with guilt. It was late when we got back to the rented apartment and she didn't want to trouble me, insisting she wasn't hungry. She noticed that the landlord wasn't sitting downstairs playing games like usual. Seeing her self-blame, I spoke gently. Chloe, I know it was a panic response. I don't blame you, and I never will. You are my biological sister. Stop blaming yourself, okay? I ruffled her hair. If you want to make it up to me, bring me a basin of hot water to soak my feet. Chloe nodded, her eyes still teary but shining with the warmth of being loved. When it was time to sleep, she worried she would toss and turn and bump my arm, insisting on sleeping on the sofa. I laughed. The injury is on the outside of my arm. How are you going to bump it? In bed. It's late. Chloe obediently crawled under the covers throughout the night. She cried in her sleep, her body trembling. I gently wiped her tears, holding her closer, using my warmth to chase away the nightmares. She finally fell into a deep sleep around midnight. Looking at the night sky out the window, I called Ellen. Investigate Linda's nephew and George's friends. I want the files on my desk by tomorrow morning. Ellen, sounding half asleep initially, snapped to attention. Yes. Mr. Sterling, I sighed, reaching for a cigarette, but finding my pocket empty. Taking a deep breath to calm down, I said, Ellen, you've been working hard lately. Double bonus, boss. I'm your person. It's no hardship. Following you is the greatest luck of my life. Ellen replied loyally. The next morning, I cooked a fragrant pot of black chicken noodles. Smelling the familiar scent, Chloe's eyes watered, her nose tingling. It was the scent of her brother, the scent of family from her memories. You have the weekend off, right? I asked. She nodded, eating the noodles in small bites. Let's go home after we eat. I dropped the bombshell. I had people renovate the house. Your old room is gone. From now on, you'll stay in the room next to mine. I had them knock down a section of the wall to make a connecting door between our rooms. Chloe gripped her chopsticks, feeling a mix of sorrow and warmth. He knew everything. He had arranged everything for her. The mansion was the legacy their mother left behind, the symbol of their family. I couldn't abandon it. If anyone had a problem with it, I'd tear the house down and rebuild it from scratch. A memory of my mother wearing a red dress and pearl earrings surfaced. She had patted my head. Henry, Jafar, do you know why Mom named you Henry? Because I want you to rule your own life. My Henry must always keep his head high. You are the heir I am raising. Don't disappoint me, brother. Are we really going to live there from now on? Chloe asked softly, worried she might have another panic attack. I ruffled her hair gently. Chloe, you have to remember that running away doesn't solve problems. Only by facing the darkness can you stop fearing it. I looked into her eyes with unwavering conviction. From today on, every ounce of pain they caused you, we will demand it back tenfold. I will make them pay 1,000 times over. Chloe stared at me, stunned for a long time. As we walked downstairs to leave, a figure suddenly lunged forward. Chloe jumped. Thud. The figure dropped to his knees right in front of her. I was wrong, Miss Sterling. Please forgive me. I know I was wrong. I won't ever bully you again. I shouldn't have said those things. It's all my fault. He violently slapped his own face. Smack! Smack! Chloe was shocked to realize the man kneeling was Mr. Gobble, the chubby landlord. Why was he here begging her, slapping himself so pitifully? I ignored him, taking a folder from Ellen. I pulled out a property deed and handed it to Chloe. Chloe, from now on, you are the owner of this building. My voice was light but carried undeniable authority. This is the deed under your name. Chloe's eyes went wide as she looked at her name on the document. She looked at me in disbelief and tried to push it back. No, brother. Did you buy the whole building? I can't accept this. This is yours. I put on a stern face, though my voice remained affectionate. If you refuse, I'll be angry. You lived here for 7 years, treated it like home. Now you can come back whenever you want. They quickly hugged the deed, her round face glowing, her almond eyes curving into crescent. Brother, you are too amazing. She looked down at the landlord, who was still kowtowing and begging. Her voice turned icy. I know he used to harass you. Called the cops to handle it. Am I right? I didn't look at her, waiting for her reaction. Would she easily forgive her abuser like before? Chloe, right now, with just one word from you, he goes to jail. Chloe clenched her fists, her eyes filled with hatred as she glared at the man on the ground. Over the years, this landlord hadn't just harassed her verbally. He had snuck into her room multiple times trying to do the unforgivable. The first time she was paralyzed with fear, grabbing whatever she could and hitting him until he bled. She wanted to call the police, but he threatened her, demanding compensation. Knowing she had no money, he grew bolder and more disgusting. During those dark days, she had considered ending her miserable life. Eventually, she started keeping a knife by her bed. After slashing him a few times, he finally backed off. Why should she forgive absolute garbage like him? The fear and hatred she had suppressed for years finally found an outlet. Chloe snapped her head up, her voice trembling but resolute. Brother, I want him in jail. I want him to pay. I hate him. He always bullied me. I nodded, satisfied, a cold glint in my eyes. Done. He's definitely going to prison. Chloe nodded firmly. Watching the landlord being hauled away by the police, she felt like a massive boulder had been lifted off her chest. She wiped her tears and reached her hand out to me. Brother, let's go home. All right. Get in the car. Ellen had driven the car over. Joe curiously looked at the blonde, blue-eyed woman with sharp features and a powerful aura similar to mine. She really is my brother's person. Is Miss Ellen your assistant? She asked me. I chuckled. Ellen also smiled. Yes, Miss Sterling. I am Mr. Sterling's assistant. Honor to work for him. I've learned a lot by his side. If you ever need anything, just let me know. Ellen was polite and professional. Chloe felt a surge of pride, thinking her brother wasn't just wealthy, but also commanded such capable people. My brother is just too awesome. She looked down at the deed in her hands, the first gift he had given her. She would treasure it forever. Meanwhile, at the Sterling mansion, Linda and George hadn't slept a wink. The deafening sound of walls being smashed echoed through the night, leaving them frustrated but helpless. Early the next morning, George's mother, a harsh, domineering old woman, arrived. The moment she stepped through the door and heard the noise, she exploded. What you're doing? Can't you see this old woman is here? Who are these people? She screamed at the workers, then turned to George and Linda. Kick them out right now. Linda and George wanted to, but the workers didn't care about them, even nearly injuring them when they tried to interfere. That unfilled brat, Mother Sterling pointed upstairs, her lips trembling with rage. Daring to treat his own father like this is sheer rebellion. Mom, please just endure it for a bit. George tried to pacify her. But once it's fixed, it'll be over. Mother Sterling slammed the table. Bang! You said that unfilled bastard is back. Where is he? Linda told me everything about last night. I can't believe he dared to disrespect me by proxy, throwing his weight around and kicking people out. Don't worry, Linda. I will get justice for you. Let's see what he thinks he's doing. Destroying the house the second he gets back and ruining everyone's peace. Linda grabbed Mother Sterling's arm, her voice full of grievance. Mom, the kids are just immature. Don't be mad. Even though they treated me terribly last night, I forgive them. After all, they are hubby's flesh and blood. I am just an outsider. Who dares call you an outsider? Mother Sterling roared. You are my official daughter-in-law. I will get justice for you. Just as she was mid-rant, a cold, sarcastic voice drifted in from the doorway. The King dynasty fell a long time ago. Which palace did you serve in as a nanny old lady? I walked in, taking in the chaotic scene and the three furious people, a mocking smirk on my face. With a house this big, I didn't realize my father had royal blood. You rebellious brat, Mother Sterling screamed, her face black with rage. I acted like I didn't hear her taking a seat on the sofa. Chloe sat beside me completely calm, a stark contrast to Mother Sterling, who was throwing a massive tantrum. The old woman pointed at us, so angry she was seeing spots. George, look at your mother being insulted and you just sit there. George couldn't hold back anymore and yelled at me. Henry, Chloe, get on your knees right now. This is your grandmother. Linda quickly rubbed Mother Sterling's back, her voice reproving but feigning helplessness. Henry, Chloe, you don't understand. Your grandmother's health hasn't been good these past few years. If you make her sick from anger, it's a massive sin of unfilial behavior. Listen to your elders, kneel and apologize, and we can forget this. A smug glint flashed in her eyes, thinking she held the moral high ground, but I couldn't care less. I leisurely picked up a teapot from the table and poured myself a cup of water. I hadn't even spared Linda a glance since I walked in, treating her like literal air. Linda's face turned a violent shade of purple. She ground her teeth. Henry is truly the hardest to deal with. I can't let him stay and threaten my position. You two unfil monsters. George exploded, glaring at me like a cornered beast. I picked up my cup, a cold smile playing on my lips. My sharp gaze swept over George, making him shiver involuntarily. In that moment, he saw the powerful woman he both loved and hated. I spoke calmly, but every word was a knife. I only call you father because you carry the Sterling last name. If you keep opening your mouth to call me an unfilial monster, you can sever our ties right now. I set the cup down and leaned forward slightly, my gaze sharpening. But you need to understand clearly. If we cut ties, the Sterling family has nothing to do with you. Everything is mine. I paused, my voice chilling to the bone. Have you forgotten how I operate? I can have the assets notarized right now, guaranteeing you won't see a single dime. I've been nice indulging you people throwing your weight around, but I haven't been back long, and you already can't tell if you're the fox or the tiger. Shook with anger, but he knew I was right. If we cut ties, he would be an outsider with nothing. The feeling of being controlled filled him with both humiliation and rage. Mother Sterling, seeing her son silenced and herself ignored, went berserk. You unfil bastard. You are exactly like your mother. Nothing good comes from people who harm others. She deserved to die early. Hearing her dare to insult my mother, the smile on my face froze, replaced by a layer of deadly frost. My eyes became extremely dangerous. In a second's hesitation, I threw the cup of hot water directly at the old woman's face. Splash! Mother Sterling shrieked, clutching her face in agony. Linda jumped in shock. Never expecting I would dare assault an elder so blatantly, I stood up, looking down at Mother Sterling, my voice like ice. It seems you still don't understand your place here. The title of grandmother means absolutely nothing to me. If you don't cross me and quietly act like you're invisible out of pity for an old bat with one foot in the grave, I might call you grandmother and let you live in luxury. But you insist on dancing on my bottom line. So from today on, expect a single cent from the Sterling family. Mother Sterling trembled violently, shocked by my utter disregard for the rules. She thought she could control me with her status as an elder and the threat of being labelled unfil, but nothing threatened me. Cut ties with her son, she would lose everything. She regretted it now. She knew early on that I was exactly like Bianca. She shouldn't have provoked me as if seeing through her. I continued. If it weren't for my mother, you would probably be rotting in some slum corner right now. Don't you dare curse my mother. Mother Sterling choked on her words. As much as she hated to admit it, everything the Sterling family had was brought by Bianca White. George's face turned pale. Replying, he clenched his fists. Even though he knew I was right, he couldn't accept the humiliating truth. Everyone used to call him a toy boy, relying on Bianca to climb the ladder. Without her, he was nothing. The gossip and his own inferiority complex had turned his love into hate. He blamed her for being too strong. If she had just obediently handed the company to him, stayed home to raise the kids, people wouldn't have mocked him. I turned to him, my sarcasm deepening. Was missing for 10 years. The facts prove you don't have the capability to run the company. I know you were always dissatisfied with my mother, thinking your status wasn't glorious. But ask yourself honestly, if it were up to you, do you have the ability to make the Sterling family great? I didn't hold back, tearing his scars wide open. If you were truly capable over the past 10 years, the Sterling Group wouldn't have declined to the point where any random nobody thinks they can step on us. My words were like swords, piercing George's proud heart, destroying what little self-esteem he had left. He gritted his teeth, unable to speak, his anger turning into undisguised humiliation. After a moment, I stood straight, looked toward the door. My voice returned to a calm, cold tone. Come in, all of you, the butler, the maids, the chefs, the staff walked in. They were all familiar faces, the staff from 10 years ago, the ones I had just tracked down and brought back. After I disappeared, Linda had fired them all and replaced them with her own people. George looked at them, memories flooding back as if returning to the days when Bianca was still around. Young master, they greeted. From today on, you are officially back to work. I ordered, Mrs. Lane, go into my mother's room and check if anything is missing. There is an inventory list. Check every single item. If anything is missing, search every room. If you can't find it, call the police. Every item is valuable enough to press charges. Butler, I don't like the living room decor. I want my style back. I'll ask Ellen later. It must be done today. Chef, prepare lunch. I'm going to rest a bit before coming down to eat. Every gesture I made exuded noble authority. One look was enough to make people avert their eyes. That, Linda shook with pure rage. Just then, George, looking utterly defeated, turned to go to the yard for a smoke. Linda stomped her foot, trying to stop the staff from searching her room, but it was useless. Everything taken from Bianca's room was reclaimed. For 10 years, she had treated those things as her own. How could she be willing to give them back? She wed and complained to George, but he just depressingly told her to handle it yourself and walked away. Linda watched him go, clenching her fists, saw the butler and Ms. Lane return and happily hugged each of them. Since Linda moved in, they were fired. She wanted to keep them but couldn't. Under Linda's manipulation, George ignored his children's feelings. No matter how much she begged, he fired them anyway. Since then, the house was filled with strangers, lazy people who were only loyal to Linda. In front of George, they acted diligent, but behind his back, they bullied Chloe and her sisters constantly. Step by step, Linda drove a wedge between the sisters and their father, leading his attitude until he kicked them out one by one. Mother Sterling clutched her chest, screaming, "Henry, I'm not dead yet," I replied coldly. "Then go die. Nobody's stopping you." Mother Sterling fainted from anger. I told the butler to send her to the hospital. "She pays her own bills. If she doesn't, tell the hospital to call the cops. You're going too far." Linda shrieked. I crossed my arms, indifferent, whatever. Looking at the newly renovated room, I was very satisfied. Chloe walked in, amazed by the luxurious, elegant decor. "Chloe, do you want to take a nap?" She nodded eagerly. We lay on the comfortable beds and took a good nap. The mansion was huge, so the renovations didn't disrupt our rest. The efficiency of the crew left Chloe astounded. After just one nap, the living room had been completely transformed. So fast, furious Linda saw Chloe coming downstairs, used to verbally abusing her stepdaughters. She raised her hand and slapped Chloe. Smack. The sound echoed in the living room. Chloe held her cheek, tears in her eyes, glaring at Linda. Linda cursed her. "You little bastard, you're exactly like your mother. You think just because Henry is back, you're safe? You think you can step on me now? Dream on. I kicked you out 7 years ago and I can do it again." Chloe clenched her fists, grinding her teeth. The fear from deep within surfaced, making her face turned pale. Seeing her fear, Linda pointed at her head, mocking her. "Look in the mirror, Chloe. What are you? Kicked out at 18. Where did you get the money for rent and tuition? I know everything. Sold yourself to filthy men. You little Trent didn't dump you because he loved you. Once you lose your use, he won't even look at you when you die." Linda's words were like poisoned blades, trying to drag Chloe back into hell so she could never hold her head high again. She knew Chloe was weak, timid, and insecure, having been tormented by her to the point of psychological trauma. Even after escaping, Chloe couldn't hide her fearful nature. Linda smirked, leaning close to Chloe's ear, whispering, "Remember what happened when you were 16. Have pictures. Want to see?" Hearing 16, Chloe felt like she had been struck by lightning. She grabbed her head, her eyes wide, screaming hysterically as she collapsed onto the floor. Linda continued to provoke her. I saw it with my own eyes. "Remember when he cornered you?" The creepy smile. "If the maid hadn't burst in, you know what would have happened, don't you? Stop. Stop talking. Help, Dad. Don't let him touch me," Chloe screamed. Her screams brought George running. Seeing her acting crazy, he frowned about to step forward, but Linda threw herself into his arms, her voice sickeningly sweet and fake worried. Hubby, I'm so scared. Chloe suddenly acted like this. I told you before to take her to a doctor, but I'm just a stepmom. She wouldn't listen now. I really suspect she has severe mental issues. George patted her back. Don't be scared. I didn't realize she was actually sick. I'll have someone take her to a psychiatric hospital. We can't keep her here. What if she hurts someone? Grit, he motioned for someone to take Chloe away, but as soon as someone approached, she thrashed and screamed, "Don't touch me." George didn't expect her to be genuinely sick. When Linda mentioned it before, he didn't even believe it. Upstairs, woke up and found Chloe missing. Hearing the screams from the hallway, my eyes turned to ice. It was Chloe's voice. I rushed downstairs and saw people trying to grab her. She was clearly unstable, retreating in terror and begging. Seeing Linda's provocative gaze, instantly understood she had been triggered. "Get the hell away from her. Anyone who touches my sister dies today." My voice carried an overwhelming pressure, every word dripping with murderous intent. Linda flinched. "How did I forget about him?" George quickly explained. "Henry, don't misunderstand. We didn't do anything. Your sister suddenly went crazy. I just wanted to send her to the hospital." I ignored him coldly, stepping in front of Chloe. My voice softened completely. "Chloe, don't be afraid, I'm here." Hearing my voice, she slowly regained clarity. Seeing the heartbreak in my eyes, she wiped her tears aggrievedly. Only last night did I learn about her psychological issues. It was hard to imagine the pain she endured. Suppressing her emotions daily to act like a normal person. Thinking about how she was sick and no one cared or took her to a doctor, I blamed myself. My heart felt like it was being sliced open. It was all my fault. I was a useless brother. If I hadn't gone abroad years ago, she wouldn't have ended up like this. "Brother," Chloe sobbed, throwing herself into my arms, looking at the girl who was once proud, pure and gentle, now insecure and overly sensitive, hurt more than being killed. I hugged her tightly. "You are my sister, the sister I love the most. I told you I'm back. You won't suffer anymore." She cried and nodded. Linda chimed in. "Henry, I don't mean to pry, but your sister really isn't right in the head. You should take her to a psych ward." Before she could finish, I kicked her so hard she flew across the room, crashing onto the floor, unable to get up. George was furious. "Henry, you dare hit your stepmother? You truly don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." I calmly patted Chloe's shoulder, pulling her behind me. My eyes were freezing. "Father, you say one more word. Don't blame me for teaching you a lesson too." My voice was calm, but carried an irresistible threat. I looked at the trembling George, my voice growing colder. "We have debts to settle sooner or later. You stopped being worthy of being our father a long time ago." George's face turned white. He trembled but was powerless against me. I didn't say anything more. I took out my phone and told Ellen to retrieve the surveillance footage. Hearing the word surveillance, Linda paused. She remembered dismantling all the cameras 10 years ago. She had no idea I had secretly reinstalled them. I dragged George over to watch the video. Linda's face was clearly visible along with every vicious word she said. Not a single syllable missing. I clenched my fists, a cold smile forming on my lips. "Father, I'm giving you 10 minutes to bring the person who bullied my sister here. Don't play dumb. You know exactly what happened when Chloe was 16. If he isn't here, I'm sending you to a nursing home, and you can face the consequences yourself." My voice was leisurely. Every word felt like a nail driven into George's psyche. He was genuinely terrified, sweating profusely. He panicked and ran out. Linda quickly grabbed his arm. "Hubby, where are you going?" But George only wanted to run. He angrily shook her off. He approached Linda. She backed away, having nowhere to run, her voice panicking. "Don't you dare touch me. I'm your elder. You dare hit me. I'll call the cops and ruin your reputation." I laughed coldly. "You think you're worthy?" Linda's face shifted from green to white. She didn't dare step forward. I turned to Chloe, rubbing her head. "Chloe, she just hit you and cursed you. If you don't get justice, don't you feel wronged?" My voice was calm, but it struck a chord in her fragile heart. Chloe stood frozen. The memories of Linda bullying and humiliating her surged like a tidal wave. I gently pinched her cheek, offering her the most tender support. "Go get justice for the wrongs you suffered. If someone bullies you, you must pay them back double." The air seemed to freeze. After a moment's hesitation, Chloe stepped forward. Smack, smack, 2 crisp slaps. Linda's face swelled up, bright red. "Chloe, you dare hit me." Linda shrieked, a mix of indignation and humiliation. Chloe pointed at her, her voice trembling. "Fierce. Who gave you the right to run your filthy mouth?" "Everything you've done all these years, I remember it all. You are the despicable one. You are the morally bankrupt one. You have no right to curse me." After speaking, her eyes were red. She didn't retreat an inch. I smirked, my eyes showing a hint of approval. "Good job, Chloe." I glanced at the staff who had just tried to help Linda. "You lot, You're fired as of today. They were Linda's people and had looked to her for help. She went crazy, to use her status to pressure me. They are my people. Your father and I are legally married. I cut her off, my voice cold with a hint of sarcasm. Husband and wife need a marriage certificate. May I ask, do you two actually have one? The air turned to ice. Its face alternated between white and green. She glared at me, but couldn't refute it. I looked at everyone leisurely. I knew that George, because of the Sterling Group shares, would never actually legally marry Linda. At that moment, George dragged a chubby, man inside. Seeing him, Chloe stiffened, her face turning pale, her eyes reflected the fear and hatred accumulated over the years. Linda smirked coldly, deliberately provoking Chloe. Look closely at this person. You remember him, don't you? George gasped for air. To play the concerned father. Victor, you bastard. I considered you a friend, and you dared to bully my daughter. Victor looked confused, playing innocent. George, what are you talking about? I don't understand. George's face darkened. He gritted his teeth. Pretending. 9 years ago, you came to my house and harassed my daughter. Luckily, a maid found out and saved her. But did you think I just let that go? Victor's smile slipped. Seeing Chloe's pale face, he still denied it. It's been so many years, and I didn't even do anything. If you're going to accuse me, you need proof. I gently held Chloe. Don't be afraid. He can't do anything. Let's bring out the evidence today and make him pay. Okay. Her eyes heated up and she nodded. Looking back tears, she brought out the evidence she had hidden for 9 years. Back then, Linda had removed all cameras, but Chloe had carefully saved a backup from the camera in her room. She never dared tell anyone because she knew her father wouldn't believe her. The evidence was revealed. Victor panicked, but still tried to deny it. It's nonsense. She's framing me. George, control your daughter. Before he could finish his sentence, I smashed a heavy teapot over his head. Blood poured down his face. Linda screamed. Victor clutched his head, howling as he backed away. I looked at him coldly. You absolute garbage can of a human. I will make sure you pay the price you deserve. The police arrived quickly. Victor, you are suspected of crimes against a minor. Come with us. Victor struggled, crying foul. What proof do you have? On what grounds are you arresting me? I didn't even do anything to that brat, the officer said sternly. We have surveillance video of your crime. If you resist, we won't hold back. Chloe looked at me and asked softly, how did you get that evidence? I hid it for so many years. I rubbed her head, smiling gently but firmly. Don't forget, I'm your brother. Last night, after hearing your story, I had Ellen investigate. Sure enough, there was still a backup of your room's footage. She nodded obediently, leaning against me, watching Victor being led away in handcuffs. The darkness that had weighed on Chloe's soul for years seemed to vanish. The air felt lighter. She looked at me, realizing I truly was the light protecting her. Young master. Miss, dinner is ready, a maid announced. Linda's face was green. Why aren't the dishes according to my menu? But the chef and maids completely ignored her. At the dining table, George put a piece of meat into Chloe's bowl, his eyes full of regret. If he had only believed his daughter a little bit 9 years ago, she wouldn't hate him to this extent. Chloe lowered her eyes, accepting the meat. It carried a father's love and a belated apology. She tasted it, but said nothing. 3 of us sat eating in a warm atmosphere, while Linda was completely excluded. Her eyes were full of resentment, her fists clenched as she thought, Henry, you just wait. Chloe sat in her new room, a rare, bright smile on her face. She gently swung her legs, looking at me with sparkling, joyful eyes. Brother, how did you know I like blue? Her voice was curious, but full of sweet, affectionate teasing. I decided to tease her back. Take a guess. Guess right, and I'll take you out for hot pot tonight. The word hot pot worked like magic. Chloe's eyes lit up, her lips curled into a smile as she nuzzled against me like a kitten. Brother, you're the best. Her actions took me back 10 years to the innocent, happy girl who always clung me. I chuckled, my eyes softening. Koch left Chloe staring at me in a daze. All right, tonight I'll take you to eat your favourite. I patted her head affectionately. Chloe jumped up, happily rubbing against me like she did when we were kids. Back then, she loved strolling through the night market with me, tasting all the street food. But because I worried about hygiene, I often asked the chef to recreate the dishes at home. Still, the homemade versions never quite matched the aroma carried by the night breeze. She once sneaked out, got caught by me, and ended up sick in the hospital. After that, I was stricter, and she gradually became more obedient. Since I left, she hadn't stepped foot in a snack street, but every time she thought about it, she felt a pang of regret. Chloe sniffled, her eyes full of anticipation. That smells so good. I smiled faintly, speaking slowly. Chloe, I know you only had a panic attack, and there's nothing else wrong, but we should still go to the hospital for a checkup. I'll go with you. She was stunned, not expecting me to be so thoughtful. Thought she might refuse, but she nodded immediately. Okay, I'll listen to you. I smiled, feeling relieved. Thinking of my other two sisters, I asked, Chloe, are your younger sisters still staying at the dorms? Chloe's chopsticks paused. Her expression flickered, a hint of evasion in her eyes. After the family fell apart, she and her sisters had completely drifted apart. For 7 years, they hadn't contacted each other. Whenever they met, it was only cold words like strangers. She was afraid I would transfer my love to them, especially to the third sister, who she viewed as a heartless traitor, unworthy of stepping into house. What's wrong? Noticing her odd reaction, I asked softly. Chloe forced a smile to hide her feelings. Nothing, brother. Try this beef. It's really good. I knew she was avoiding the topic, so I didn't press further. I figured this fractured relationship would have to be mended slowly over time. After dinner, Chloe took the initiative. Brother, let's go to the hospital now. I nodded and we headed out. At the hospital, let Chloe sit in the waiting area while I stepped outside to make a call to an old friend. Long time no see. While Chloe was waiting for me earlier, she had heard someone call her name. Chloe Sterling, is that really you? She had looked up to see Tiffany Taylor in a hospital gown. Her face was pale, her body frail, but her eyes were full of guarded hostility and harshness. Tiffany had always been the white moonlight in Trent's heart. Every month, Chloe was forced to donate blood to her. Even when Chloe herself felt unwell, she had never stopped. Seeing Chloe, Tiffany's eyes swept over her designer clothes and polished appearance, a flash of jealousy in her eyes. But thinking of herself as the main character and Chloe as just the stand-in, she puffed out her chest, regaining her confidence. Chloe, you haven't donated blood this month, have you? Go do it right now. I don't like waiting. Tiffany was as bossy as ever. Chloe looked at her coldly, ignoring her completely. Seeing this, Tiffany got angry and threatened. I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? Chloe stood up. Her 2-inch heels made her taller, allowing her to look down directly into Tiffany's eyes. Her icy stare made Tiffany freeze. Chloe was no longer the timid girl begging for love she couldn't have. Tiffany Taylor make like a banana and split. Trent and I broke up. Didn't he tell you? Tiffany's face changed, the air growing freezing cold. Chloe smirked, her eyes full of mockery. It seems he didn't tell you anything. His precious white moonlight is apparently only worth that much. Tiffany was furious, her eyes filled with hatred, as if trying to stab through Chloe. What are you so smug about? Trent doesn't want you anymore. Chloe glanced at her with a dismissive smile. You're right. I am very smug, but not because Trent dumped me. It's because I don't need a piece of garbage like him anymore. If he offered himself to me, I wouldn't even bother picking him up. Tiffany choked on her words. Trembling, she spat. You're talking nonsense. You're just jealous of me. Chloe lifted her chin, her gaze dripping with sarcasm. Jealous of you? What exactly do you have that's worth my jealousy? Should I be jealous that you're uglier than me? Should I be jealous that no matter how hard you try, you can't even marry into the Thorne family? Tiffany shook with rage. Losing all reason, she shrieked. Chloe, you just wait. One day you will be on your knees begging me. Chloe remained unfazed, backing down an inch. The day you die, I still wouldn't bow my head to you. Furious, Tiffany stomped her foot and stumbled back to her hospital room. She immediately called Trent, but no one answered. She was so angry she wanted to smash her phone. At that moment, she was at a bar with friends, swirling a glass of wine, completely ignoring the barrage of calls from Tiffany. Trent, are you really cancelling the engagement with Chloe? A friend asked. Trent's face was cold. He just drank his wine. If she wants it cannelled, it's cannelled. One laughed mockingly. True. Chloe is just an A's of the declining Sterling family. How can she compare to Tiffany? Another shook his head. Don't speak nonsense. The Sterling family has deep roots. I bet the White family wouldn't underestimate them. Tiffany can't compare. Trent didn't care. He downed his drink. Chloe initiated the breakup. In a few days, she'll be crawling back, begging. It's all just an act. With her personality, she can't leave me. A friend agreed. Exactly. She didn't even care about having to donate blood to Tiffany before. What's this little argument? Nothing. His friend's words eased Trent's frustration, giving him back his confidence. Chloe couldn't leave him. On the other end, there was the sound of heavy breathing. Wait for me. I'm coming right now. Dr. Rachel Yates's voice was full of excitement. I hung up. Rachel had hastily thrown on her coat and run out, slapping herself once, just to make sure she wasn't dreaming. 10 years of waiting. Now my voice was ringing in her ears again, hitting her like an electric shock. Her blood was boiling. She sprinted to the hospital entrance. Spotting my familiar silhouette, she couldn't help but yell, Henry! I turned around, meeting her eyes, seeing my face clearly, her eyes lit up. Looked even more distinguished than in her memories. I smiled, the joy of reunion evident. Rachel lost control and threw herself at me, hugging me tightly. Henry, her voice choked up as she gripped me tight. I let her hug me, gently patting her back. It's me, Rachel. She burst into tears, her tears soaking my shoulder. Where have you been all these years? Why didn't you come back? Do you know how long I've waited for you? Just then, hurried footsteps echoed. Chloe pushed the door open, her face full of anxiety. Seeing me being hugged tightly by a strange woman, she flew into a rage and rushed over, hitting and pulling. Let go of my brother. Don't touch him. Caught off guard, Rachel cried out in pain and quickly let go. I rubbed Chloe's head, smiling affectionately. Be good. Rachel Yates, my friend and a famous doctor. Rachel stopped crying, wiping her tears with a bitter smile. Famous. My hair is about to fall out from worrying about you. I turned serious. Rachel, I sought you out this time because I need you to look at my sister. Rachel straightened up. All business. It's not just helping you. Your business is my business. Chloe, come with me. I patted Chloe's shoulder, my eyes gentle but firm. She stood at the door looking inside with concern. Half an hour later, Rachel walked into the office holding the test results. Her usually bright face was unusually somber. How is it? I asked, my voice calm but my eyes full of worry. Rachel frowned, putting the papers down. Her tone was cautious and not very optimistic. Henry, be straight with you. Chloe suffered severe bullying, leaving her with dark psychological trauma. Even though she's improved recently, it's still concerning. The results show she has had severe dark thoughts, and her personality has become extremely obsessive. I nodded silently, signaling her to continue. Rachel, this kind of psychological issue relies mostly on the patient overcoming it themselves. Family companionship is more important than medication. She was too young when you left. We can't fully know the extent of the pain she endured, but the root cause is definitely connected to you. She is highly dependent on family, so you absolutely cannot disappear again. To avoid triggering her further, she is full of emotional scars right now. Having you by her side is the best medicine. My eyes were a complex mix of ruthlessness and pain. Looking at the words multiple suicidal ideations on the medical report, my chest felt like it was being sliced open. Thank you, Rachel, I said, my voice steady, with a hint of a choke. Rachel's lips trembled into a bitter smile. Henry, after all these years of friendship, is a thank you all I get. Do you still even consider me a friend? She looked at me, her heart full of 10 years of longing and unvoiced grievances. Stayed silent for a moment, then laughed and patted her shoulder. Stop joking around, Rachel. Let's go grab a drink. Rachel instantly brightened up, pulling me outside. Meanwhile, Chloe was still standing at the door, her head bowed, fidgeting nervously as she peered into the office, terrified of hearing bad news. When the door opened, I hid the coldness in my eyes and called out gently, Chloe, come in. Rachel patted her shoulder with a radiant smile. You are very healthy. No major issues at all. Really? Chloe's eyes lit up. Really, you just get a little overly excited sometimes. Control that and you'll be fine. No need for medication. Rachel was patient, trying to lighten the mood. Chloe was half believing, half doubting. Over the years, in the dead of night, it always felt like she was different from everyone else. She even felt dirty. She hesitated. Last time I bit my brother was that I cut her off, rubbing her head. Chloe, you're not sick. You just suffered too much injustice. Those traumas are not your fault. You are not a bad kid. The people who bullied you have been punished. Stop blaming yourself. Okay. Her eyes went red, her nose tingling. Brother, am I really okay now? You're okay. I nodded, my eyes unwavering. You've overcome it. From now on, no one will ever be able to hurt you again. Thinking of Victor, the creep I had sent to prison, Chloe no longer felt afraid. She bit her lip and said, Seriously, brother, I won't be scared anymore. I let out a sigh of relief. Chloe returned to her normal routine. She went to work with noticeably more confidence than before. I sat in my office, tapping my fingers on the desk, organizing my thoughts. Chloe was brilliant academically, yet she was working at some small, no-name company. There had to be a hidden reason. Today, Ellen brought in a stack of files. Mr. Sterling, this is the information regarding the second miss. Someone was deliberately targeting her. I opened the file and scanned it my size, stopping on a name, Tessa Thorne. Who is Tessa Thorne? I frowned. Ellen explained. Tessa is the eldest daughter of the Thorne family. 3 years ago, when the second miss and Trent started dating, Tessa fiercely opposed it. She used her resources to suppress the second miss, constantly making things difficult for her. My face turned cold. Thorne family wasn't at the absolute pinnacle, but they were still a top 5 corporate giant. Yes, Tessa dared to act so arrogantly because she had backing. I recall the Thorne family still has an unsigned contract with us. Tell them I will visit in person, I said. Yes. Mr. Sterling. Ellen nodded. Also, that small company took the second missing when she was at her lowest. They seem to have some conscience. Should we acquire them? Buy them, I commanded. Ellen nodded, then added, "One more thing. Madam hasn't been able to reach you," she said. "If you have time, you should visit." I had to pull my thoughts back. Got it. Go do your work. The office went quiet. The sunlight outside the window cast dappled shadows. I looked at Chloe's file, my eyes filled with unwavering determination. The next morning, stepped out of my Maybach in front of the Thorn Group headquarters. Ellen flanked me, carrying a silver briefcase. I was here to deliver the wrath of a brother who had been absent for a decade. We bypassed security and walked straight into the executive boardroom where Trent Thorn and his sister Tessa were sitting. "What is the meaning of this?" Tessa snapped, standing up. I ignored her and took a seat at the head of the table. "You must be Tessa, the one who used her connections to suppress my sister's career." And Trent, still delusionally waiting for Chloe to crawl back. Trent's face flushed. "You, what are you doing here?" "A hostile takeover," I replied smoothly. "As of 8 a.m., their offshore proxies acquired 60% of the Thorn Group shares. You no longer own this company." I tossed a medical file onto the mahogany table. "Furthermore, Tiffany Taylor's life-threatening illness is a lie. She paid off doctors to demand Chloe's blood solely to humiliate her. You treated my sister like a blood bag for a scammer." Trent stared at the reports, his world shattering. He had lost the only girl who genuinely loved him, and now his family's empire. "You have until noon to clear out your desks," I told the Thorn siblings coldly. "If I ever see you near Chloe again, you won't even have a cardboard box to sleep in." Returning to the car, I instructed Ellen to transfer Zenith Co., the company Chloe worked for, into my sister's name. Back at the Sterling mansion, George and Linda were waiting nervously. Their suitcases were already packed after my threat to cut ties with them. "Henry," George pleaded, "I am your father. I own 1% of the Sterling Group. You can't just throw me out." "I diluted your shares to 0 this morning," I informed him. "And Linda, my auditors found that you embezzled over $3 million from my mother's trust." Linda shrieked as the police, whom I had called in advance, through the door to arrest her. She had stolen my mother's clothes and mercilessly abused my sisters, and now she was going to prison. George, stripped of his wealth and his toxic illusion of control, forced to walk out the front door with nothing but a single suitcase. As the heavy doors closed, I turned to the staircase. Chloe was walking down, holding hands with Maya and Lily, my other 2 sisters. I had spent the morning tracking them down, Lily clearing the 10-year misunderstanding Linda had orchestrated to tear them apart. "Brother," Chloe said softly, wrapping her arms around me. Maya and Lily joined in, and the icy armor around my heart finally melted. "I'm home," I whispered, holding my family tight. "And I'm never leaving." A month later, Chloe officially took over Zenith Co., transforming into a confident, brilliant CEO. Maya returned to university, and Lily took over our mother's jewelry line. Standing on the balcony of our restored home, I watched my sisters laugh in the garden. The shadows of the past were gone, replaced only by